Hey, it is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in today on how to let go of manipulation and trust life again. I find that to be a core and central issue that people struggle with after they have been through a victimizing situation, relationship, or workplace matter, familial matter, or situation where you have been targeted or sort of sabotaged and isolated as a scapegoat or someone who is the object of contempt or manipulation. And that is really, how do you emerge and begin to trust life again? Be able to trust that things are going to be okay. Trust yourself. Trust the universe. Trust life at large. They're not going to keep sending you curveballs, slam dunks over the net when you're playing the emotional volleyball that tends to ensue when you're in a relationship or find that you're up against a very strong manipulator, such as someone who is psychopathic or narcissistic, someone who basically is a pathological liar day in and day out. They will lie and deceive anything and anyone for any reason whatsoever. So it doesn't need to be a once-in-a-time issue. Oftentimes it's an ongoing and chronic situation, and people begin to lose trust. Not only trust within themselves, but also trust in life or trust in universe. And trust within yourself means that I can count in and rely on myself to be able to deal with and handle things responsibly, not freak out, not go over the edge, not go over the deep end, and not sort of digest within self-sabotage. Oftentimes people who have been in extremely volatile or manipulative relationships tend to then internalize the role of the manipulator. They then become the manipulator. In other words, they so over-identify with the individual, they so lose themselves in the process that they become nothing more than a mirror reflection of the antagonizer, of the manipulator, of the psychopath, of the malignant narcissist. In other words, they've become so identified with their needs, their wants, and their standards that they so try to conform to procure and secure the relationship that they end up losing themselves in the process. They lose their I am. They lose their trust. They lose their essence, the center of their being. It sounds crazy, but it's true. And this can happen on all degrees of the spectrum. But this basically, you can tell that this has occurred when you really say, I don't feel like I can hold this down. I can't hold down this job. I can't hold down the grocery list. I can't hold down a relationship. I don't trust. I don't feel good. I'm so betrayed that I am betrayed. I am so identifying with the issue that life is becoming nothing but an issue. And in fact, my identity then becomes swept up in it. And then people then internalize this and become the manipulator, the saboteur, and begin to then lose trust in themselves because they have so identified with the abuser. They have so identified with the situation that has caused them the problem. They feel, they have this running once again on an incessant loop where it just keeps playing again and again. I am unlovable. I am untrustworthy. I am not good enough. I am not enough. And so it is very important for you to just really, really relax and come back within your body if this has occurred. If you're so distrustful of yourself, if you have so over-identified with the abuser, because either it's been at specific times of your life, because you were impressionable, because you so love this person that you would do anything for them, including make, self-sacrifices for them, it's time to say, whoa, enough is enough. Okay, I've lost enough, I've given enough, I've sacrificed enough. enough is enough. That's it. It's done. It's over. I need to now come back into my body. I need to come back to my senses. I need to feel safe where I am. And oftentimes, people almost live like an out-of-body experience. They just feel like they're running on empty. They feel like they're running on stress. They feel like they're just so running at the whims of the abuser, either always constantly trying to fight or recovering from a fight, on the good path and then ready and leery and worried about the bad path. Things are going to go good, but things are going to go bad. And then, so there's this sort of distrust going back and forth. There's this sort of undergirding, and chronic, although be it sometimes very subtle, uncertainty that tends to stress the person out. They become so stressed out. They become so uncomfortable. They become so distrusting. They then, find ways to sabotage themselves. They're late for the appointment. They're late for school. They're late for work. Then, they then create situations where then other people around them be able to, kind of take on a new role of an abuser or someone who is dissatisfied or disapproving of them. So they recreate the very situation which has plagued them previously. So the body, the subconscious mind, has a tendency to want to recreate or reset up the same conditions and situations which have plagued and bothered them earlier. In other words, it's the same situation but formatted in a new way. Meaning, I was disapproved of, I wasn't trusted before, so now I'm in a situation where I'm disapproved of and distrusted again. So in other words, they recreate scenarios that will replay the same issues again and again and again until you say and come to terms and say enough is enough. I'm no longer sabotaging. I'm no longer self-sacrificing. I'm no longer self-injuring. I'm no longer self-mutilating. I'm no longer taking on the role of the abuser for myself. In fact, that is a very important sort of touchstone that really people who have been extremely manipulated or traumatized really need to get to, is to say enough is enough. That is them and I am me. That is them and I am now we. In other words, it's beginning to identify with yourself as lovable, as trustworthy, as good-natured, as kind, as gentle, and sort of, in a higher energetic vibration, which is different and distinct than the abuser. Sometimes people have not known life without abuse. They don't know life without trauma. They don't know life without struggle. They don't know life without unhappiness. In other words, the chronic fear, the chronic paranoia, the chronic feeling of displeasing somebody who is manipulative, who is a controller, is running on, their internal music 24/7. In other words, it becomes the new rhythm of the soul. It becomes a soundtrack to your life, which is dun, it's like playing always in the chase scene. In other words, you're hyper aroused, you're hyper agitated, you are stressed out. All the stress hormones are raging. And you then begin to kind of dance that music. You begin to dance to the music of your soul, especially if one is of stress, agitation, and distress. You're always like in fits of worry. You're in bouts of rage, bouts, of fear, crying, agony, emotional distress. You can't hold it together. You can't hold it down. You can't eat. You can't sleep. Everything is wackadoodle. So, this... you have to say, wow, you have to have self-empathy and say, wow, I have been through enough. And I have been through it all. I've been around the block. I've been around the mile. I've been around the course, the track, whatever it is. I've been around it enough. And I've seen enough on this track to say, you know what? It's time for me to get a change of scenery and see something and experience something different in my life. I'm not just in an automatic track like a train that's just only running on one track. I have another track of my life that is I want to procure and secure for myself. And I'm going to do this by releasing that agitation and releasing that tension, releasing that individual, and releasing all those imprinted stamps on my mind, my heart, my soul, that keep that music playing, that music of stress, the music of struggle, the music of fear, the music of distrust. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to let it go entirely. And I'm just going to come into my own body for a chance. For a lot of people, this seems like common sense. For those people who have been traumatized, this is a whole new way to live. It is a whole new way to be when you stop the tension, when you stop the aggravation, when you stop the fear, and resensitize yourself. When you come back into your body. For a lot of people, being themselves was not a safe place to be. It was not a okay place to be safe. To be safe would mean to have let your guard down and to let the enemy in. To be yourself would be to stand there and take the beating. To be yourself would be to be abused emotionally and be yelled at, to be scolded, to be scoffed at, scorned at, to have, eyes, the evil look, the evil eye, the psychopathic sneer, the being shut out, the not being invited, the not being good enough. And to be constantly then on that treadmill of, I need to improve. I need to change myself. Enough is enough of that soundtrack. It's time for you to say, I am wonderful and magnificent just the way that I am. And, I'm kicking to the curb those people who don't agree with me. It's not the other way around. I don't have to adapt and adjust to be agreeable to others. I am in agreement with myself in that I approve of myself, and I'm going to kick to the curb and let go those people who don't agree with me that I am wonderful, that I'm magnificent, that I'm okay just the way that I am. Love me as I am. There was a great Joni Mitchell song from way back in the day, and, a few of her lyrics, she wrote a lot of great music back in the 60s and 70s, and I believe she was like a guitarist and a pianist, but she had these one great lyrics that said, take me as I am. And she sings it in this very, very high sort of, what do you call it, not a stiletto, but like a falsetto, won't you take me as I am? And it's really profound and moving, lyrics, especially for that time, when civil rights were going on, and it's just like, won't you accept me as your brother? Oh, it's so sad. Bear with me one moment, let me just pull it together. Okay, so, wow, I did not expect that to have such an emotional movement on me. Sorry, 1 second. We'll continue the video here. Bear with me one moment. So, it's to realize that others must take you as you are. To take you as you are. It is so important. And especially if, sorry, I might have to pick up this video. Okay. So anyway, and I know a lot of people want to hear, more about specific situations that I'm working on in the book. But anyway, okay. Anyway, as people have felt, especially in that time when they were not accepted for who they are, no matter what it is, their skin color, the type of the coarseness of their hair, whether they did drugs or not, whether they drank or not, especially during that period of time, you look at the crossroads of influence, that a lot of people during that time did not feel accepted for who they were and what they have been through. So some people might carry a lot of emotional baggage. They might carry a lot of emotional scars. They might carry a lot of emotional wounds, which are kind of like still there, even though they can be highly functional. They can still carry a lot of hurt. They can still carry sort of that touch spot, that sort of trigger point from abuse. And especially, music is very important, the way that it sort of evolves, and you get people who are, those people who sing really the lyrics of the day. In other words, especially back in the day, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, there was a lot of music that spoke out. When people played real instruments, it spoke out to the struggles of people, a whole mass or a whole generation. And oftentimes people were not accepted if you did not do drugs, if you did not drink, if you did not sleep around, if you did not have the money, if your skin color wasn't the right color, if your hair wasn't the right way, or if whatever, your religion, whatever it is, you weren't accepted for who you are. It's so important, and if you can do that, you will be on the path to trust and enlightenment, not only within yourself, but all of your senses, including your higher order senses, that of your intuition and that of your higher consciousness, that is which is connected to the solution, that which is connected to healing, that which has been with you from day one. And that is really, the really place that you truly want to live in, which is when all those systems are aligned in communication with themselves. You talk about the chakras that are all in communication, open and clear. You can get and listen to guided visualizations of this here on YouTube. You can, study this. You can understand how it is important for your body, mind, and spirit to be in alignment, in communicating. If this has not been permitted or not been allowed because you have lived or been engaged to or married to or had an abusive parent, sibling, boss, or all of the above, you have not been able to live in that trust state. That was not allowed. And especially if you were a young child, through 1 through 7 is really the beginning, 0 through 7 is the beginning of your truth. And then, as you get into the very impressionable and formative years of your teenage years, your young adult years, they all sort of begin to coalesce and one to the other to the other. It becomes, life is a series of these moments and these learning, or teaching moments. So if you were taught that you were distrusted, no one can trust you, or that you were projected on, that, you are ridiculous, you're unlovable, you're, at the hands of someone who is mentally ill, and you received a lot of these negative messages, then you're carrying this, around like an organ within you. This becomes part of you. These negative, traumatizing messages, carry the beat of your heart. They are coursing through your blood. They're in your footsteps. They're in your back. They're in your shoulders. They're in how you think. It's a very real situation, and anxiety and fear and doubt can be a very real part of a person's emotional constitution and their makeup. So if you are at that place, at the crossroads of distrust, where you distrust yourself, you can't, go to the grocery store without being afraid. You can't drive a car. You can't hold a job. You can't hold a relationship. You're constantly feeling that anxiety. I feel for you. It is a very, very, very difficult and painful place to be. Really more painful than a lot of physical situations, because it tends to proliferate and grow and become more intense with time, especially if it goes unchecked. So it is to understand that you need to come into your own body, become resensitized, like I talk about in the book that I am working on, to come back into your senses and learn to reset all of those, all of your five senses. You know, soothing music, soothing words, soothing affirmations, soothing experiences to the skin, you know, the Epsom salt baths, the lotions, the scents, the things that you do for priming your subconscious mind, the clothing or texture of your furniture, of your art, of what you feed all of your senses, then goes to, culminate and create that trust, when you can then take control over that and begin to say, I trust myself. In myself, I trust. Just like it's written on our currency, in God, I trust. In myself, I trust. And God dwells within me, and so it is. And so it is. And trust dwells within me today. And I carry that trust with me wherever I go. Begin to repeat these affirmations. Begin to come back into a calm body. Begin to give yourself permission. It is okay. It is okay to be calm and to trust yourself. Today I'm going to be calm and carry on. Today I'm going to be calm and trust myself. Today I'm going to be calm and feel the trust dwelling within me. And I'm going to allow that to be. And then here moving forward, I'm going to move in expansive trust. I'm going to demonstrate and feel the connection and love towards myself that means trust and embracing myself, literally and figuratively, to say, hey, God has got this. I have got this. God and the divine dwells within me, and so it is. And I will call that up as many times as I need be, and I'll remind myself that God dwells within me, that trust, divine trust dwells within me, and so it is. Begin to really feel that, and begin to really give yourself moments of peace, moments of safety, so that you can then reinforce this. And as we mentioned earlier, let go those people who are not in agreement with this truth. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Love you.